worrying video done by Funky Prepper. It was one of my favourites. Who knew that they were actually testing air raid sirens in the UK? Probably nobody, because they've been doing it all in secret. But the British government is preparing for something major, and they're doing it in secret. Why they do it in secret? Obviously to avoid panic. So I'm going to play this video for you. I might not play all of it, but listen to what he says. People are being urged to get battery radios, stock up on candles, and various other things. So I'm going to play this video and listen to it carefully.
Battery powered radios, don't panic, but Brits should stock up on candles and battery powered radios in case of a power meltdown. Cripples digital gadgets, warns the Deputy Prime Minister, Oliver Dowden warns.
There you go, there's that bit. Brits should stock up on battery radios, candles, etc. And it's the Deputy Prime Minister that's put this warning out to British people to start stocking up on this stuff. Let's play the rest of the video.
What do we know? Welcome friends, yes, this was a report which came out in the press very recently, and I feel we need to talk about it because there's other things which we need to realise, which we're going to go deeper towards the end of the video. Please stay tuned for that because it's not being talked about. So, what have we got? The old radios, remember these? Absolutely fine. You can turn them on and you can listen to radio broadcast as and when. Always store the batteries the wrong way round to prevent your devices from failing. Also, candles. Always have candles. It just makes sense. It's stuff we used to do a long time ago. And also the radio, which uses a hand crank on the side. And if you wanted to, there's solar panel on there as well. Really cool. These have been around for a long, long time. These are. They're fantastic bits of kit. And I believe all preppers should have at least something like that. So let's get into what this article has been talking about, because alarm bells are ringing right now and we need to pay attention. Okay, Oliver Dowden is urging people to prepare for being thrown back to an analogue era if internet and power systems collapse. Yes, our Deputy Prime Minister is saying that right now. Details will be set out in an official government resilience, you've heard that word before many times, resilience web.
Obviously, they know something's going to happen. But instead of just coming out with it, because it'll create panic, they're leaking little things out. They're advising people do things in case of this, in case of that. Who remembers the emergency alerts on our mobile phones? Who remembers them? Remember them? Emergency alerts on our phones, the test. They know something's coming.
Website launching in a few months' time. Yes. Other countries have done this. The UK is a bit behind. To an analogue era if internet and power systems collapse. Yes, our Deputy Prime Minister is saying that right now. Details will be set out in an official government resilience, you've heard that word before many times, resilience website, launching in a few months' time. Yes. Other countries have done this. The UK is a bit behind, but now we're stepping onto the stage with lots of other countries around the world. I know Australia and New Zealand and Canada, etc., already have this in place for the citizens of those countries. Okay, so this website is going to be launching in a few months' time, which will offer advice on how to prepare for pandemics, cyber attacks. We spoke about the WEF and cyber attacks planned in the near future. They're sort of following the script here, absolutely. And natural disasters. Already we've had earthquakes down in Cornwall, we've had severe flooding. It happens, and those who are not prepared will always fall by the wayside. My advice is always have a grab bag to go if you are in those zones which are prone to flooding, earthquakes and anything else which we do get from time to time here in the UK. But not only that, what about the smartphone alerts? Who remembers the smartphone
Remember?
alerts?
Smartphone alerts.
I know lots of us didn't sign up for them, turned our phones off and all of that sort of things. So yes, is that going to be linked to this? Possibly. It's going to be a QR code, it's going to be an app, it's going to be an emergency alert, whatever it is. All of these things are going to be linked towards a preparedness style website which the government is launching in literally a few months' time. You guys are getting a heads up. There will be links under the video about everything that I'm talking about, okay? So, what about this? This was an email coming from someone this morning on my email address. If you want to send me an email, check the box below. My email address is there. And please feel free to send me an email. Guess what? There has been air raid sirens being tested in a place called Avonmouth. Now that's not far from Bristol. Okay, let me know if you're in the area and you heard that. I'll put the screenshot which the guy sent the location and stuff on the screen now, so you can look at that. Upon further looking into this, a bit of a rabbit hole. Guess what? Did you know this? And that's not far from Bristol. Okay, let me know if you're in the area and you heard that.
I can't help with the internet today.
I'll put the screenshot which.
Right.
So, what about this? This was an email coming from someone this morning on my email address. If you want to send me an email, check the box below. My email address is there. And please feel free to send me an email. Guess what? There has been air raid sirens being tested in a place called Avonmouth. Now that's not far from Bristol. Okay, let me know if you're in the area and you heard that. I'll put the screenshot which the guy sent the location and stuff on the screen now, so you can look at that. Upon further looking into this, a bit of a rabbit hole, guess what? Did you know this? There are currently over 1,200 air raid sirens all over the UK right now, as you can see on the screen.
How many of you people know that? All these air raid sirens that exist in the UK?
I mean, do any of you guys live near one of these? Send me an email and let me know what you think. Have any of those been tested? This is not being talked about in the mainstream, so this is what we like to do on this channel, is to inform people. Like I said, the email address is below this video. Please feel free to hit me up on an email, okay? Now, going back to the article, he said how many people have a radio that doesn't need an internet connection and is analog, i.e. non-digital, like we showed earlier in the video. In the past, now all of these are quotes, by the way, and that link to the article will be under this video too. So please feel free to take 1 minute out of your day. It's only a short read, but it's quite interesting. In the past, most people had torches and candles under the stairs. Who didn't? Who doesn't? As preppers, we should at least have stuff like that for power cuts. Or in America, they believe they call it power outages. Same thing. Society has changed over the past 20 or 30 years. The government needs to ensure we are resilient. You remember that verbiage United Nations and the World Economic Forum used? They use that a lot. Now our UK government is on board with that agenda. Okay. We are resilient in this digital age, including considering those analog capabilities that it makes sense to retain. Of course, this is one of the first situations where the government is absolutely making sense. Now, are they doing this because they know there's going to be an election next year and the Conservatives want to stay in power? Maybe. Let me know in the comment section below what your thoughts are about all of this, all of a sudden commonsensical approach in governance within the UK. Crazy. Listen to this. If you had a power cut and you wanted to hear the news, where would you get it from? Good question. In the olden days, I was born in the early 70s, and this was a staple. Everyone in the street I lived in had all these things, okay? So yeah, where would you get it from? In the olden days, it would be you turn the radio on and listen in, just like we saw earlier. Non-digital, very important, okay? I'm an analog guy in a digital world, and I always like the thought of having analog stuff. Maps, compasses, radios that just require batteries that are non-digital, etc., etc., okay? It could be tomorrow that one of these things hits. Now, if that's not fear porn, I don't know what is. The new website would allow members of the public to register as volunteers to help out in a regional or national crisis. Now, straight away, I thought Civil Defence Corps. Who remembers the Civil Defence Corps? If you don't know what I'm talking about, do a quick online search, educate yourself.
They know something's coming, guys. They know. The government knows
yes,
something is coming.
This looks like history is repeating itself once again. Mr. Dowden also warns that AI, artificial intelligence, poses a chronic risk. That's the complete opposite of what Richie Sunak done when he set up the first global artificial intelligence conference at Bletchley Park, which we covered in previous videos. Please feel free to go through and watch that one if you haven't done so. If I remember, there'll be a link to that below, just to bring yourself up to speed about AI in the UK. Now, he says it poses a chronic risk and will increase the risks of cyber attacks, just like the World Economic Forum has been saying for the last 2 years now, and the real risk of chemical weapons. Chemical weapons. This is mentioned a few times in these articles. Now, usually when these articles come out, these are sort of...
Well, I'll leave it there, guys. What do you think? Do you think the government knows something's coming? And they're craftily preparing the nation and the people of the nation for it? You heard him say that it's a deputy prime minister. He had an article in a local paper, in a newspaper, advising people to get an analogue radio, candles and stuff like that, like we used to in the old days. I remember my grandma and my ma always had a battery radio handy, always had a box full of candles and various other little things in case of a power cut or something major happened. In them days we were always prepared. These days in the digital age, nobody's prepared for anything. So what do you think's going on? They've been testing air raid sirens, as you heard there. We had emergency alert tests on our mobile phones. There's a website coming up soon telling people how to prepare for certain events. And you can put your name down as a volunteer to help in whatever natural disaster or whatever disaster happens. It seems to me, guys, the government knows something major is coming down the tube. And they're quietly, craftily preparing the people of the nation for this event. As I always say, Do your own research. Come to your own opinion. But the fact it was in an article in the newspaper, and it's a Deputy Prime Minister that's urging the nation to prepare themselves to get battery radios, candles and other stuff. And a website coming out soon explaining how to prepare for things. And you can put your name down to become a volunteer to help deal with a natural disaster or whatever disaster befalls us. Obviously something's coming down the tube. The nation is preparing for a major event. And they're doing it craftily to avoid panic amongst the population. Why else would you test air raid sirens? Why else would the Deputy Prime Minister urge people to get battery radios, candles and such alike? Why else would I bring out this website? They're preparing for something, guys, and it ain't going to be good. Be safe and have a Merry Christmas.